What is going on, everyone? Welcome to a special episode of Yami Noob. We have with us here today the CF Moto 450SS, provided to us by Damon. What's up, man?
What's going on?
Fan of the channel, brought it out to us today for a ride and review very graciously. And yeah, today we're gonna do a full ride and review of this machine and show you guys why it may be the new king of beginner bikes. Stick around. So Damon, you were telling me this is your first motorcycle, right?
Yeah, it is. I've only been riding for about 2 months or so, and I gotta say, this has gotta be the one.
Yeah, so this was at a dealership here, kind of local to us, Wood Cycle Country you bought it from, right?
Yes, sir, here in New Braunfels.
Yeah, and then you were mentioning to me that it was on the showroom floor with some other beginner bikes, but this one caught your eye, right?
Yeah, the way it looked, it really looks like a Ducati.
Yeah, it does have kind of like a Panigale vibe to it. I think the front end here with the winglets and all that, I do think it's kind of funny that a beginner bike has winglets and they do, it's like, oh, it's downforce and all that, but it looks cool, you know? I mean, people want the look, right?
Right.
The coolest part about this bike to me, though, is the engine. 450cc, parallel twin, but with a 270-degree crank, so it sounds a lot like the R7, the Aprilia RS660. Redline is at 12,000 RPM, making peak power of 50 horsepower and 28 foot-pounds of torque at about 9,500 RPM. So it has a little bit of over rev, which is cool. I know you gotta love the sound on this thing, right?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of taking off the exhaust already.
I literally did that with the ZX4. That was the first thing I did. I pulled it in and just pulled the exhaust off. I was like, I gotta see what it sounds like.
Yeah, man, I heard it was supposed to sound like an R7 and I had to see it for myself, so.
Yeah, it definitely does. As you guys can tell, Damon did remove this. I put the zip tie on for today just to make sure it wouldn't go anywhere. So that's my squid move and not his squid move. The other cool thing about this is I think this braking setup is really trick. This nice little cup design here, not like the old school, like little square plastic ones. Nice fuel through the master cylinder. And then down over here, if you can believe it, at this thing's price point, Brembo caliper, radially mounted. Are you kidding me? Like that's really good for $54.99 is what this thing costs MSRP. I mean, that's crazy.
Absolutely insane.
It's crazy. And then upside down suspension, which looks cool, non-adjustable, that's okay. Some strange tires. I think here, Damon, it says it's the Ardino HS Ass. Is that, yeah. Zoom in, cameraman, I think right here it says, is that? Oh, it's AS5. Okay. So when we say the tires are ass, that's not what we're not trying to say. They're straight cheeks. They're not straight buns. They are, you know, actually AS5. So that's my mistake. I'm so sorry, David.
It's okay.
No quick shifter fitted on this machine, but it does have a slipper clutch, which is pretty cool. That's going to make it easier for beginner riders if they grab some downshifts and they don't properly blip. It kind of absorbs the impact a little bit. What's your favorite thing about this bike? What would you say?
Honestly, my favorite thing about this bike that no other bike has is the automation for the headlights and tail lights.
Interesting. What is that?
So basically when you turn on the headlights, it has this little feature, and the tail light has a pulsing feature.
Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and when they showed me that, I realized that no other bike has that, and it's kind of like a one-time thing for bikes.
Yeah.
So,
cameraman,
honestly,
come look at this rear end over here. Look at that. He's gonna turn it back on. It's a small touch, but it's cool. You know, it's like you just don't see that often.
Yeah, I didn't know until pretty much nighttime when I turned it on, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
So one more thing I wanted to point out is here on this bike, you do have this 5-inch TFT display. This is not something super new for the category. The RC390 has this, but this is definitely a really good looking screen. Really bright, really crystal clear display. Yeah, you got coolant temperature, gas gauge, rev counter. I saw too, I was fiddling around earlier, and you can change like the way it looks too, which is cool, like in the vehicle information and all that, and the settings. Yeah, I was like subject style of concision.
Thank you. I've been trying to find that.
Yeah, there you go. You can, if you want to change it, let's see if you press and hold it. I don't know, maybe I said it. Let's go back. There you go.
There we go.
That's different.
That's really cool.
Teaching beginners every day is what we do here on Yami Noob.
Yes.
Somehow, some way. Folks, let's go and take this bike out for a ride. I am dying to go take it out for a spin. All right, let's get a sound clip of the bike before we go and take it out on the road. It's already warmed up, so it's okay. All right, folks. But actually what I want to do, because Damon is a bit of a super squid, as you can tell, we're going to go ahead and remove this, because I just want to hear what it sounds like, and then we're going to go take it for a ride. All right, now let's hear how it sounds uncorked, because we're all squids on the inside. Didn't really want to start up. Yeah, that's just straight pipe. Sounds just like an R7. Pretty sweet. Let's go take it for a spin.
It's your Papa Yam here with another exciting giveaway. Are you tired of being shackled to the gas pump, constantly refueling and draining your wallet? Well, it's time to break free and achieve your independence this 4th of July. Introducing the Ultimate Riding Season giveaway brought to you by yours truly. For 5 days only, we're giving you the chance to win a $500 gas card. That's right, folks, $500 of pure freedom at the pump. It's super easy to get entered to win. Simply head over to yamanoob.co, pick out anything you want from our site, and you'll be automatically entered. There are no codes required, but the giveaway will only last for this week. Whether you're grabbing some cool riding gear, upgrading your trusty Busa with the Leo Vinci slip-on exhaust, every purchase puts you one step closer to riding with a full tank, all paid for by your sweet Papa Yam. Simple as that. A season of riding gas. That's the kind of freedom we're talking about here, my friends. So what are you waiting for? Head over to our store right now for your chance to achieve true independence from buying gas this riding season. But this is one you don't want to miss. Time is running out. Ride free, my little squids.
Folks, we covered the specs in the shop. Now nothing left to do it but to do it. To it but to do it. Nothing left to do it. Oh my God, I can't say it. Nothing left to it but to do it. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's swing a leg and ride this machine. And I gotta say, I've already ridden a little bit, and pretty sweet, dude. Not gonna lie. Starting it up. Quick startup. Feels very Japanese-esque. This bike, I'm telling you guys, then the whole ethos of it is add a little more, put on some spice. Let's get a sound clip. I mean, it sounds like an R7 or an Aprilia RS660. I think the motor actually has character like an Aprilia 660. Taking off here, let's get a little sense of the power. Okay. All right, that's pretty good, man. Man, I swear beginner riders are spoiled today. Damon, who is a beginner rider on this motorcycle, this is fantastic, dude. This is a fantastic little engine this thing has. Just feel it out here a little bit. Nobody on this road. I mean, you can pile on a lot of pace with this thing. Master cylinder feels really good. I got really good feel to the lever. It's not a radial pull. It's going sideways still. It's adjustable. It's got the little reservoir cover here. But this is, I'm really impressed so far. I think that if this motorcycle was a Yamaha R4 and it was exactly how this looks, it just had a Yamaha badge on it, people would be absolutely creaming their pants over it. But I think because it's a CF Moto, you know, rightfully so, people get a little skeptical. They're like, how is it packing so much bang for buck? Look at that dash, changes colors. Yeah, very Aprilia 660-esque, which is a huge compliment. I don't know how they made this engine. I don't think it's a bespoke platform. I think what CF Moto probably did, because they're a big conglomerate and they probably wanted to cut costs, I think they took their KTM 790 platform and just shrunk it.
I don't have a ton of familiarity with that engine platform, so I can't look at this engine and tell you guys one way or the other. But the fact that this is a 450cc parallel twin with a 270-degree crank is something we should really applaud CF Moto for, man. This is cool. This is something different, you know? This isn't another little parallel twin beginner bike. This has a 270-degree crank and a 450cc package priced really, really aggressively. You know, we should be on our hands and knees praying and thanking CF Moto for giving the beginners something this cool. So the initial impressions are really good. I've been riding this thing and I want to fault it. I want to find things and I'm like, oh, see guys, CF Moto, they cut corners here. This is bad. This is not great. But for an entry-level sport bike that costs less than $6,000 MSRP, you're getting a ton of bang for buck, man. You're getting a Brembo caliper radially mounted with a ton of stopping power. I don't know if I don't got anybody behind me. You go here, I'll accelerate a little bit. Hard on those brakes. Yeah, that feels really good, dude. Like, no matter how you slice it, that's a great feel to the lever, great feel, great power from those brakes, single disc. But as you guys have seen with the Boom BD250, you do not need 2 discs to stop really, really well. And yeah, coming up to our right-hand turn up here, I'm gonna test the slipper clutch. I'm not gonna blip down. I'm just gonna. Yeah, that works really well. You know, for the beginner who maybe is not super familiar with rev matching and doing that whole thing, you know, this is a really nice thing to have. I never thought that I would say, oh yeah, beginner bikes need slipper clutches, but they do help. You know, they'll help with the rear wheel chatter. They'll help with a lot of stuff that beginner riders might struggle with. Gonna get this bike out on more twistier sections here, but I'm really impressed so far. This is the best CF Moto that I've ridden thus far. I've ridden the CLX 700. I thought that was pretty good, but this is like another step forward. This bike is, I want to find bad things to say about it, but it's genuinely very difficult. The motor's super cool. It feels like I'm on a baby R7 or a baby Aprilia 660, and I paid half the price, you know. And as a beginner rider, I'd be super, super happy with my choice here. You know, this is the same price, if not less, than the Ninja 400. You get a bigger engine with a cooler soundtrack, you know. Like, listen to this thing. It just, you get a slip-on exhaust on this thing, and it'll absolutely sound like an exotic bike, and it looks exotic too, which I know it's not the biggest deal for everybody with how a motorcycle looks, but man, this thing's for the right buyer, it's got a lot of look back factor to it. I will be perfectly honest, it is not my cup of tea. I don't think this bike, I wouldn't buy it personally because of the way it looks. I'd buy it for the engine and the frame and the handling and the all the cool stuff that this bike does. I don't think that the styling is quite to my taste, but you know, as my father used to say, the matters of taste are not discussed. You know, like the taste is very subjective. You may love something, I may hate something. It doesn't mean it's bad or good. It just is our personal opinions on how something looks, the aesthetics of it. But yeah, sitting here, neutral throttle, cruising behind a random SUV. It's nice, dude. The fueling is good. It's very linear, very predictable. The only thing I would change, and you can adjust this because, God bless, it has a cable-actuated throttle, as you can see here, not a fly-by-wire system. I would just reduce some of the throttle slack. It's got a big dead spot once you open up the throttle, but that can be adjusted. You know, you can fine-tune the amount of slack that your throttle has on open and close, and that's something that I would do because I find that it has quite a bit of slop, but that's adjustable, no problem. Feel through the lever is great. The clutch pull is super light for a cable actuated clutch. I thought it was hydraulic, honestly. It felt so light and nice to use, but it's actually a cable clutch, you can see right here, and it feels really good. The transmission feels solid. It doesn't feel cheap or chintzy or Chinese. I'm telling you guys, if you put a Yamaha badge on this thing, people would lose their minds. They'd be like, oh my god, the Yamaha R4, it's going to destroy the Ninja 400, blah, blah, blah. But because it has a CF Moto badge, we tend to treat it a little bit more skeptically. All right, let's get after it a little bit here. I actually find this bike has great amounts of rev ceiling, and you know, it's on the side of the tire, even on these ASS tires that we saw on the shop overview. I mean, it feels really good. Like, it's extremely stable on the side of the tire. It feels fantastic. It flicks over beautifully. I mean, look at this thing go. And you get such a cool soundtrack and some serious power out of this thing. It is no slouch. Like, this makes serious chops. Down into second, I'm super impressed. I mean, look how good it's doing. Holding a line beautifully. We'll flick it here to the right. Transitions perfectly, you know? Just hold here, maintenance throttle. So one thing I have noticed is you have quite a bit of over rev. Peak power comes on at about 9,500 RPM, but it'll rev to about 12,000, which is pretty awesome. But you don't really need to rev it all that high. You actually really don't. Peak power is made right here at about 8 to 9,000. So you can shift early, get back in the meat of the power band, and it's actually a little bit faster than revving it all the way out. But as a track bike, having the over rev is pretty sweet, you know? Because that gives you a little bit more flexibility in gear selection when you're coming through corners and deciding how you're going to approach whatever racetrack you are on. And the best thing about these 270-degree parallel twins is how linear the power is. So I'm in fourth gear, 6,000 RPM. I've got juice on tap, dude. I don't feel like I'm on an R3 where I'm like, man, I should probably grab a gear down and just zing this thing off the red line. It handles really well. It honestly handles better than a stock R3. And it handles probably just as well as a Ninja 400 here on the street. I would love to get one of these out on track and really push the paces against the stock Ninja 400. Maybe that's a video we can make one day. But dude, it's super impressive. Super impressive. I've ridden way worse motorcycles than this, I'll tell you that. This thing feels great. And again, for a beginner rider who, to be perfectly honest, is not going to know the difference, wow, really good, dude. I don't want to sing this thing's praises too high, but I'm super impressed, man. It's working great. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do on the tin. It's a Ninja 400, but a little bit more and with a little bit of a spice. How cool is that, you know? Let's see, let's just whack it in first and see what it does. I get a little bit of a wheelie. It jumps up a little bit. Let's go again. Yeah, I'd fix that throttle slack immediately. Look at this thing. Super fun, super enjoyable. Wow. I mean, it's a sport bike, so I immediately wanted to come out to a twisty road and see what it'll do, and I'm very impressed. Decent on the brakes, seeing what it'll do. Let's try trailing it in a little bit here. That's nice, man. I gotta say, that's nice. Can we race these in CMRA? I would not mind at all. Really nice, dude. So upside down fork at the front, like we mentioned at the shop, and handling bumps really well. Obviously non-adjustable. It's a beginner bike, guys. But you know, the KTM RC390 does come with adjustable suspension. But man, I gotta say, I mean, compared against the RC390, I'm having a lot of fun on this thing. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm keeping an open mind, you know? That's the thing. I'm trying to keep an open mind, trying to enjoy it and appreciate it for what it is. And I cannot really fault this thing. I think the gearing is working great. I think the engine is linear and tractable. Really nice to use. A lot of over rev. Dude, it's working beautifully, honestly. I'm super impressed with this bike. Super impressed. I did not think it would handle this well. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's the real deal. That works really well. Jeez. Oh man, do I like a Chinese bike? No. This is probably how people felt in the 70s and 80s when they rode a Japanese bike and they had Harleys and stuff, and they're like, God damn it, this bike is good. And you're like, you don't want to say it's good because you want to root for the things you know and love, but dude, this bike is good, man. It's a good motorcycle. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Let's go ahead and get a little 0 to 60 in here up at our stoplight. If there's not too much traffic, I don't think there will be. Nobody coming up behind me. Mirrors are pretty decent, by the way. Integrated turn signals, like we mentioned in the shop, pretty good. I mean, kind of does feel faster than a Ninja 400, and that makes sense. It makes more power and it's got a bigger engine. That's good. That's really good. All right, I'm gonna report on the highway manners for you guys, because obviously that's important too. So stick around. All right, folks, testing the CF Moto 450 SS highway manners. Cruising at about 78, 79 miles an hour. Gonna click it up into 6th. Let's see what kind of passing power we have in 6th, which is a very impressive thing to say about a beginner bike, you know? To have even anything for passing power in 6th is kind of crazy. So let's see. Yeah, you know, despite being a 450 parallel twin, you may still want to grab a gear down, but that's really no problem. You'll see here, if you want to just get a little passing going, let's say you're going 70, and then you want to go 90, go down to 5th, and there you go. Yeah, ample passing power, very comfortable to ride on the highway too. That was one thing I said in the shop, is the ergonomics package on this bike is it's basically like a Ninja 400 almost exactly, except the seat height's a little bit lower, so I feel a little bit more balled up on my lower half, but that's not a bad thing. Still very comfortable to ride, still very easy to get along with on the highway. I know that's a big concern for people when they look at beginner bikes, especially in America. They say, will I be able to keep up on the highway? The answer is an unequivocal yes. You will absolutely be able to ride the CF Moto 450 SS, on the highway. You can see here, I'm passing everybody in the left lane, I'm speeding a little bit, I'm doing the motorcycle thing. It is totally working for me, and I feel very confident. This bike, as we said in the shop, weighs about 370 pounds, so it's a teensy bit more substantial than a Ninja 400, but that extra heft does aid in its ability to go down the road on a highway. It feels just like it's not going to get blown around by the wind very much. It's a very substantial, stable motorcycle at speed. Tracks a beautiful straight line. I know that's not a thing that we should point out as a feature, but after riding the Boom BD250, that's something that sometimes you do have to point out, that this machine can indeed carve a straight line. Moving over here, trying to merge over, get towards our exit. But I'm very impressed with the CF Moto 450 SS's highway manners. I think it's a great highway bike. The little wind protection actually does a pretty decent job of keeping it off of your chest and neck and head. You know, it's not amazing. It's better than a naked bike though, that's for sure. And I really enjoy it. So I'm gonna get this bike back to the shop. I'm gonna give you guys my full wrap-up thoughts. All right, everybody. Wrapping up this review with the CF Moto. Park it right here. Not in the handicap spot because we are trying to be cool. What do I make of this machine? Dude, I am thoroughly impressed. I really am. I think the Japanese manufacturers should be very afraid. I think if you're Yamaha, if you're Kawasaki, if you're KTM, if this is what the Chinese bikes can bring nowadays at this price point, I'd be a little afraid. The only thing that is stopping this thing from being an absolute killer of a bike is this badge right there, CF Moto. I think a lot of people still have question marks over the reliability of this machine, over the, perceived value of it, the resale value of it, the whole thing around it. I think that's the big issue. Like I said in my video, if this was an R4 and it had R-bike styling and it had everything else exactly the same, people would absolutely lose their minds over it. If this was a Ninja 450 and it was just an update to everything, people would go absolutely bananas over it. Very, very exceptionally executed, very well handling, great power delivery. I honestly think I have to rate this thing a hard 9 out of 10. Honestly, I didn't think I'd rate it so dang high, but it's really good. I cannot fault it for anything. I really can't. It's just a great little entry-level sport bike. It is, I said the RC390 was kind of peak beginner sport bike, and sure, I do think this thing could use adjustable suspension, and it could be a little bit lighter for ultimate track duty, but as a street bike, as a street sport bike, this thing is pretty much impossible to beat at the moment. If you want turnkey Japanese reliability and you want to sleep well at night, get a Ninja 400. You really can't go wrong. But if you're okay with maybe a few question marks and you want a little bit more and a little bit of spice, get the 450 SS. Great motorcycle. Thanks again for Damon for bringing this motorcycle out to us. I really do appreciate it. And thanks so much for y'all for watching the video. Leave me a comment below what you think about CF Moto. And we'll catch you in the next one. See you later.